Hi, my name's Micah. Welcome to my channel, Gaia Natal. I'm a licensed practical nurse, and I deal with a lot of patients who suffer from chronic pain, chronic depression, and after speaking with them, I always find that they are not utilizing the one main source that is in abundance for all of us, and that is the outdoors. Look at that. Oh. So, whether it's your greenway, your trails, or even your backyard, you should be taking full advantage of this. I'm going to go over a few things, a few facts that may surprise everybody and get you out there in nature. It's the perfect time of year here in Tennessee. It's fall, and it's absolutely beautiful. You may or may not be familiar with forest bathing. The Japanese refer to it as Shinrin Yoku. It is nature as medicine. Although the simple act of walking in the forest might not seem extraordinary, the benefits that most people experience during and after a session of forest therapy really are. The benefits of Shinrin Yoku include improvement of weakened immunity with an increase in the count of natural killer cells which are known to fight tumors and infection, increased relaxation of the body due to increased activity in the parasympathetic nervous system, reduced stress of the body due to a reduction in sympathetic nervous system activity, reduction in blood pressure after only 15 minutes of forest therapy, reduced feelings of stress and a general sense of well-being, reduction in blood pressure after 1 day of forest therapy, which lasts up to 5 days after therapy. The power of nature is extremely restorative. Scientists in Pennsylvania showed that even the view from your window can have a beneficial effect. They studied patients who were recovering in hospital after they had had an operation to remove their gallbladders. Some patients were assigned a room with a window that looked out on a brick wall. Others had a room with a view of a natural scene. They found that the patients with a view of nature recovered more quickly, were able to leave the hospital sooner, and requested fewer painkillers during their stay. One might ask, why does nature reduce stress? Well, most of us would agree that being surrounded by nature makes us feel comfortable, and this is the reason we experience a reduction in stress levels. I believe it is important to explore what we mean by comfort, and as there isn't yet a recognized definition, I'd like to offer one here. My conception of comfort is a situation where human and natural rhythms are synchronized. When we are in a particular environment and we feel that our own rhythms synchronize with the rhythms of that environment, we feel comfortable. If during a lecture the audience makes attentive noises and is interested, the speech will be lively. But if they glance around or nod off, the speech will falter. It is the same at a concert. I believe that we can discuss comfort from the perspective of whether people are synchronized with their environment or not. Of course, this environment includes not just people, but also animals and plants, as well as films, music, and other inanimate things. Most of us have day-to-day experience of how contact with plants and flowers automatically make us feel relaxed. For example, in the corner of this room, as I speak to you, I have 2 plants which I grew from seeds after eating the fruit. The other day I picked a delicious ripe papaya and ate it. When I am tired, I feel relaxation just by glancing at the plant. I can feel synchronization from even this small example of nature, a potted plant. This must surely be connected to how, over the 7 million years of human evolution, we have lived amid nature and our bodies have adapted to that nature. So how might one know what is the best nature therapy for them? There is a wide variety of nature therapies available, from residential forest therapy programs, half-day and day-long walks, park therapy, indoor essential oil therapy, forest scenery programs, forest sounds, and a whole range of other activities. This may sound a little vague, but you should choose the nature therapy that appeals to you most. Research has shown that there is a correlation between the activities you enjoy and the physiological relaxation effects they provide. In other words, the more you are enjoying an activity, the greater its benefits will be. There were experiments conducted where subjects listened to the sound of a murmuring forest stream through speakers while we measured their brain activity and blood pressure. Experiments were conducted where subjects listened to the sound of a murmuring forest stream through speakers while their brain activity and blood pressure was measured. They were asked to rate their enjoyment of the sound, and they reported a variety of reactions, from an impression of comfort to not feeling anything in particular. There was no physiological relaxation effect in the subjects who did not feel anything in particular. But in the subjects who felt comfort from the sound, it was found a calming of prefrontal brain activity, a reduction in blood pressure, and a physiological relaxation effect was present. It was found the same result with visual stimulation when subjects were asked to look at something rather than listen to a sound, and even with the smell of freshly ground coffee beans. If subjects enjoyed the experience, it had a calming effect. If they didn't feel anything special, it had no effect. Many of our experiments into natural stimuli have demonstrated this relationship between a feeling of comfort, enjoyment, and physiological relaxation effects. If a person is taking part in a nature therapy feeling comfortable and relaxed, their body is also experiencing relaxation. When choosing a therapy to try, I recommend that you do some research on the internet and get an intuitive feel for what might work for you. For example, for those who are interested in aromas, a therapy using essential oils will be effective. Some experiments showed that the aroma from the wood and leaves of pine trees and Japanese cypresses calmed brain activity and boosted the parasympathetic nerve activity that increases during relaxation. Those people who gain pleasure from gardening could concentrate on therapies based around these activities, while others might be attracted to full immersion in a forest. The advice is, if you like the idea of it, it is likely to work for you. So please, make use of the nature that appeals to you to help you enjoy a full and happy life. Knowledge of just how healing Mother Nature is goes back for centuries. In 1899, a physician named Juan Brenya stated that the calming and invigorating mental health benefits of forests cannot be explained as to its mechanism by any dogma of common medical science, and will remain incomprehensible for as long as we be without the clairvoyance necessary to enable us to penetrate the most hidden phenomena of physical life. The nature sanitariums of Brenyan's time were destined to fade without the required scientific confirmation. It would be a little over a century before researchers in California would bring in that strong dose of clairvoyance in the form of functional magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI, a sophisticated brain imaging technique. Their findings showed that more desirable views, aesthetically pleasing nature views, coastal vistas, were firing up a specific portion of the brain, the anterior portions of the parahippocampal gyrus, rich in opioid receptors. These opioid receptors have connections to the brain cells within the dopamine reward system and, as such, have the potential to trigger feelings of wellness and push forward the motivation required for positive behavioral modification. This was an incredible finding, revealing that nature is like a little drop of morphine for the brain. Although best known for pain inhibition, the opioid receptors do so much more. When these receptors are activated, the response is remarkable. People are less likely to perceive themselves to be stressed, they are more likely to form emotional bonds, and they tend to dwell less on negative memories, focusing instead on the positive. People with depression have been noted to have decreased brain activity in the anterior parahippocampal gyrus. In additional research, these investigators and others reported that indoor scenes, such as an office, kitchen, hallway, compared with outdoor nature scenes, forests, water, mountains, vegetation, consistently produce a higher level of activity in a specific area of the brain involved in scene processing. In 2011, it was discovered that this area of the brain, the parahippocampal place area, is also much more active when viewing scenes depicting crowds of any sort, movie theaters, outdoor malls, supermarkets viewed from the outside, elevators, tunnels, heavy traffic, outdoor train stations, urban trains on the move, buses, bridges, and towers. Put simply, the area of the brain processing scene information is interacting with arousal and working overtime in non-natural settings. The greater effort required to run the brain in the modern urban world can catch up with us in the form of mental fatigue. This uptick in brain effort required to process place in the indoor and outdoor human-made environments is most pronounced in those prone to anxiety. Some studies have looked specifically at nature sounds as a means of lowering stress. In a 2010 study from Stockholm University, adult volunteers experienced brief mental stressors interspersed between sounds of road traffic noise or nature sounds, water and birds. A more rapid normalization of physiological markers occurred when the background noise involved nature sounds. In hospital settings, exposure to natural sound has been associated with better sleep in patients post-cardiac surgery, lowered stress hormones, and pain reduction during bronchoscopy. The Japanese research team from Chiba University, Shinrin Yoku experts, Dr. Yoshifumu Miyazaki and Zhuyang Li, have shown that the sounds of a creek induce changes to brain blood flow indicative of a state of relaxation. The blood flow changes are in direct opposition to what is usually observed with mental stress and exhausting cognitive challenge. In addition, researchers have determined that listening to recorded bird sounds early in the morning can lift mood and decrease fatigue. In those with sleep difficulties, it also may help reset normal production of the sleep hormone melatonin. Natural parks, forests, and wilderness areas remain our last bastion of noise refuge, and respondents en route to such areas often state that escaping from noise is a primary motivation for their visit. As interesting as the potential of natural sounds to mask urban noise might be, the converse is perhaps even more interesting. When machine noise comes to nature, the distress is amplified. Put simply, the annoyance factor when technological sound waves encroach into natural settings is very high. Machine-derived noise can quickly undo many of the positive attributes of nature discussed thus far. Nothing can dampen the restorative and mood-lifting influence of natural settings quite like the noise of a machine. Aircraft, traffic, chainsaws, landscaping equipment, motorboats, or motorcycles all detract from positive perceptions of natural settings. In contrast, the sounds of nature, birds chirping and water flowing, enhance the positive mental outlook associated with nature scenes. Therefore, we cannot assume that all previously discussed benefits even moderate levels of physical activity, exercise activities, such as a brisk walk or gardening, during which one can still maintain a normal conversation, are associated with positive psychological well-being. Exercise provides a buffer against stress, and those who report regular exercise are more resilient to illness during times of elevated stress. Aerobic exercise can be shown to decrease the subsequent reporting of health-corrosive daily hassles. Researchers at the University of California, San Francisco, demonstrated the dramatic potential of exercise as a stress buffer and cell protectant in 2010. They looked at cellular components known as telomeres, small caps that insulate and protect genetic material, much like the plastic tips on the end of a shoelace. The telomere length is correlated to the potential lifespan of the cell, and shortening is associated with an increased risk of damage and cellular death. Unsurprisingly, short telomere length has been linked to numerous chronic diseases and early mortality. Chronic stress and a higher degree of perceived stress has been associated with shorter telomere length, whereas exercise has been linked to longer telomere length. The University of California, San Francisco researchers wanted to determine if there was an interaction between stress, exercise and telomere length. Incredibly, even after controlling for a host of lifestyle and socioeconomic factors, they found that exercise could completely erase the connection between stress and telomere length. Among healthy, non-exercising adults, perceived stress was highly linked with short telomeres, whereas 40 minutes of vigorous activity eliminated the association between perceived stress and telomere length. In a stress-filled modern world, the implications are, of course, enormous. According to American Psychological Association annual surveys, stress perceptions are at an all-time high. An intervention that can block its corrosive force is certainly worthy of any doctor's prescription pad. So, how does exercise promote brain health? Scientists began to examine the physiological pathways of exercise and its brain benefits by focusing on the ability of exercise to promote the production of feel-good and pain-reducing brain chemicals such as serotonin and opiates. Recently, it has become clear that exercise does indeed influence a wide range of mood-regulating neurotransmitters. In fact, the latest studies show that exercise alters serotonin production in ways that are quite similar to antidepressant drugs. Moreover, exercise has been shown to increase the production of the nerve growth factors that facilitate normal brain cell structure and functioning. This is fascinating. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have all this nature at our fingertips. We need to utilize it. The benefits are unprecedented. I want to thank you for listening. And if you liked what you heard here, please hit that like button. And if you're interested in hearing more, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we come out with a new video. Thank you again, and as always, create a miraculous day, my friends. Namaste.